Hey everybody, I'm Christopher Green. You're watching AMTV, Alternative Media Television. It is, of course, Monday, October 24th, 2016. It's amazing we're already approaching the holidays. I wanted to give you a little bit of a recap on Donald Trump's Gettysburg address. I thought it was an excellent speech where he laid out his first 100 days in office. Also mentioned that he's going to sue the shit out of the women that have falsely accused him for alleged groping, which we know is total bullshit, total baloney, and a total lie, and it's been utterly fabricated by the Clinton News Network. Notice there was another lady who came forward who's a porn star who tried to play the victim, of which Clinton News Network is highlighting right now with all of their coverage. Allegedly, Donald Trump offered her money to take her out to dinner or something like that. She's a freaking whore! She's a freaking whore! She's a porn star! This lady has no credibility at all. But again, it just goes to emphasize and show you what the George Soros owned and controlled Clinton News Network is all about. And that is trying in all of their power to destroy the credibility of a good man, as one of my subscribers said. Donald Trump is not perfect, but he's a good man, Christopher, is what one of our subscribers told me when I was in Prescott Valley. Thought the speech was excellent. He offered a tax advantage for the middle class. For example, if you're a typical, what they would call nuclear family, no pun intended, your husband, wife, a dick and a vagina, and 2 kids, you'll get a 35% tax reduction under a Donald Trump presidency. I mean, that is amazing. That is absolutely amazing and so stimulative to the economy. That affects probably a lot of you tuning in. I mean, imagine all that money pouring back into the economy, being spent on goods and services, reinvested into small business, hiring new employees, expanding operations. I mean, small businesses are responsible for the growth in this country. So that would be a massive deal. A 35% reduction in taxes for the average middle class family. Now, he also talked, which I thought was excellent, about uniting the country. You know, one of the reasons why he was in Gettysburg, of which Abraham Lincoln is famous for delivering his Gettysburg address at a time when there was great division in America. We are facing the same great division today and as hollow ground. So I think it was a perfect setting to talk about uniting the country and moving us forward. He's going to build a wall. He's going to protect our borders. He's going to prevent, through extreme vetting, radical jihadi terrorists from murdering innocents on our soil. That is something that nobody should disagree with. Nobody. You know, Hillary and Obama want the jihadi terrorists in here. They've created the jihadi terrorism through their geopolitical policies in the Middle East. That, Hillary, is irrefutable. So maybe it just makes me a deplorable to think that way, but it's the actual gosh darn truth. He's going to secure our borders. He's going to lower taxes for multinational corporations that are holding trillions of dollars of funds overseas right now. Companies like Apple Computers, for example, that are holding all that money overseas because they can't bring it back home and reinvest it into our infrastructure. Another area that Donald Trump is going to be focusing on, reinvesting into a crumbling and investing into a crumbling infrastructure here in the United States and creating jobs, putting people back to work. He is going to disinvest and disengage from spending billions of dollars, cutting blank checks essentially to the UN and the United Nations for climate change efforts, and instead worry about our environment here in the United States. Now, some of the open criticism here would be that this is very protectionist, that tariffs are very protectionist, and that Donald Trump is very nationalistic and American-centric. Well, you know what I say? That's freaking fantastic! Finally, we're going to take care of our own country. He's going to take care of our veterans, make sure they have access to health care. We have many, many veterans that are dying and committing suicide because they simply do not, think about that for a minute, are killing themselves because they do not have proper medical care. They're waiting in line. They don't have access. I mean, is that a way to treat our veterans, the brave men and women that are fighting for us overseas? Hell no. So he's going to improve health care. He's going to repeal the tragedy that makes up Obamacare, that has only raised our expenses and given us less proper care. You know, you've seen that, I'm sure, in your own lives, where your health care coverage has worsened, yet you're paying double, if not triple, what you were paying before. I'm paying triple, by the way, triple what I did before, and I have less coverage than I did before. I mean, it's an absolute freaking joke. You know, one thing that they did not talk about at the debates was the economy, getting this country back on track, firing the money printing whore at the Federal Reserve that is Janet Slut Yellen, getting rid of her, hopefully starting to normalize interest rates in the not too distant future, which is something that they need to do, or we are going to have runaway inflation in this country, which is something I talked about with Craig Smith of Swiss America last week, of which I'll be posting the video sometime this week, where we're talking about the effects of this very stimulative money printing manipulation at the Federal Reserve, which results in runaway inflation. In fact, he showed us $100 trillion, I think it was, Zimbabwe bill, just to give us perspective on what can happen here in the good old United States of America. Donald Trump is going to invest in energy in this country and lift restrictions on the Keystone Pipeline and a lot of these projects, and put people back to work in middle America, things that help our country and stimulate our country in a good way, so we can get back on track to real growth, real GDP growth, let's say in the neighborhood of 3 to 5%, which I think would be a much, much healthier position than we are today. We're barely getting 1% on a 0% interest rate manipulation courtesy of the Federal Reserve, if that. It's really 0% growth in this country. And all they've done is bailed out the rich, bailed out the too big to fail, and stimulated the markets that only simply benefit the rich, and created new bubbles and a new catastrophe that's going to unload on all of our laps in the not too distant future. I'll be in studio in a few minutes. I will, of course, will be reporting on all this and a lot more. Thank you for your tremendous support and supporting us directly on demand. Click the link below, start your free 14-day trial, get more videos like these and a ton more completely commercial, ad-free, and uncut. Peace. Hard-hitting and in your face. I'm Christopher Green.